take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Welcome to Life in Red.
The Man with No Memory. That seems like an ominous title. But that is exactly how at least W5 defined the man I'm having with me today. Jonathan McMurray, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
I'm good, thanks. How does it feel to have that kind of nickname? Is that, I don't want to say nickname, but like, you know, that's the catching headline.
The Man with No Memory?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's factual. I mean, I can't really dispute it. And I don't have a memory, so I guess it fits. I don't know. I don't mind it.
Kind of sounds like a superhero, but like, I don't know, like it's
the negative superhero.
Yeah.
The Man with No Memory.
So Jonathan, you have quite the remarkable story, which we're going to get into. I'm going to let you tell the story, but you suffered an accident, that, I mean, as the name describes it, you lost your memory. Tell us a little bit about how, you know, from that point, maybe around that time in your life, and we'll just kind of work our way through your story, because it's going to be a doozy for some people.
Okay. So in August of 1995, I was driving back to finish my fourth year of an English degree at Acadia University in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. And I was driving back on the Trans-Canada Highway with two friends. And around in Rivière-du-Loup, kind of by the New Brunswick border of Quebec, we were driving. It was late at night. We were probably doing, 120, who knows. And a tire popped, and I was ejected from the car and landed on my head. And then luckily there was a trucker behind us that called the ambulance, and then the ambulance came quickly, got me to the hospital, and I spent 7 days in a coma. And I was 6 on the Glasgow coma scale, which is out of 15. So pretty big hit. And then after the 7 days, they brought me back. And then that's when I started over again.
Right. So, I mean, it seems like a weird question, but I do got to ask. There, at no point do you really remember any part of this accident either, right? Like, this is all kind of secondhand. Is it what the doctors told you, or do you still have recollection of that part of it as well?
No. Yeah. I don't remember. That's doctors and families and others. I don't remember anything pretty much from 0 to 22. And my life, like my sequel second life, would start, I think I start remembering in Nova Scotia, which is where I flew after some time in Quebec. So I don't remember any of Quebec.
Wow. So you're like basically living like a movie, like the stuff you see in Hollywood, right? Like the person loses their memory and the love of their life helps them track it back down, and they live ever after, or whatever, or they turn into a superhero, like, or whatever. But like, for this to actually happen to somebody, like, what were you when you first awoke? Do you remember the point when you woke up and what that was like for you? Woke up from the coma and what that was like for you?
No, I don't remember. I mean, it's been recounted to me that I swore a lot and was quite aggressive and had to be like strapped down to my bed and things like that. But no, I will never remember that period of getting up and, or any of Quebec really. Like, it's, my memory starts in my grandma's basement in Annapolis Royal. I was waiting for a spot in the Halifax hospital.
Wow. It just seems unfathomable. Like, this whole part of your life is wiped out. Now we're here. Yeah. You're admitted to the hospital. We're going to start, reshaping your life. So what were some of the things that you had to do, that doctors had you do to try to regain your memory. And I also want to point out, you can watch his W5 piece as well, which is up on YouTube. But not only did you have no memory of who you were, your family, but you didn't know how to, your shapes, your colors, how to pick up a fork and eat food. Like, you were an adult baby being born, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I was a 22-year-old baby.
Wow.
So yeah, like walking, for example, took me a while to learn how to walk again. I was pushed around in a wheelchair, and then, the physio would train me on balance, and, we walk between the two ropes and stuff. And, yeah, it was start from scratch. Couldn't name a shape, couldn't name a color.
So did they
nothing?
Did they have you like basically start over in kindergarten in terms of learning? Like you'd sit down and have to like, go through books and take lessons with teachers. Like, how was that process for you?
Well, it would be like the teachers were the like occupational therapist, speech language pathologist.
Okay.
Like hospital staff, but yeah, they would have to start at that point with like picture books and shapes and colors, and yeah, it was a start from scratch. And you mentioned earlier that it seems like a movie. I think it would make an incredible movie.
Absolutely. Well, I know you have the book, which is a great
the book is that's the starting point.
And that book is called I'll Let You Hit It.
It's Mind the Gap.
Mind the Gap. And that's available right now, eh?
It's available as an ebook, but that's through my website, which is jonathanmcmurray.com.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there was a run of prints, and then they sold out, and I've kind of just doing the ebook for now.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought of doing like an audiobook with it as well? Like maybe you narrating it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I would if I knew the guy, or the guy who knew the guy, or the guy who knew the girl,
Yeah, absolutely.
Then for sure. Yeah, no, I thought about that. Because I think it would be, I could even narrate the whole thing. And then if there could be like in between chapters, little bits of music perhaps, or, something, make it interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're 22, you basically restarted everything. Who was there to help you the most? What was going on at that time so you're not only learning all the basics of being a human and trying to escalate that to being an adult within a short amount of time, I assume, but your family, your friends, like, if you had a girlfriend or a partner at the time, like, who was around you and trying to reshape the other part of your life, the more emotional family aspect of it?
Well, my family was just dropped everything and came and looked after me. So my family was crucial, and then my friends as well, both my like university friends and then my high school friends would be. Some of the university friends came to Quebec to visit, but, some of the high school friends were calling all the time and, giving information to my parents and, just to share with me and talking to me, but I wouldn't know who they were.
Right.
I didn't even know who they were when I met them after.
So like, how hard was that to have these people telling you, no, like, me, and you literally, you can't draw upon it? Like, do you remember having any specific feelings about that? Like, how hard was it to be like, okay, you're my parents. What are parents? What does that even mean to me? But like, how hard was the process of also like learning to love and trust again? Like, was that there for you?
Well, it was, from the start, it was really frustrating because I had nothing. So, it was, I felt cheated, and I had nothing. I had no point of reference for anything. So it was kind of a bit of a free fall at the start. And then, it gradually, the fall slowed down a bit. And then, yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know. It was it was really intense and really, really scary, and kind of seemed inconceivable. Like I don't think I understood enough about reality or how things should be
Right.
at that age to be able to reflect as to, my mental capacity at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I was just, just kind of, a little bit down about the situation and wondering when my memory was coming back and, when things would return to normal. But it just, I don't know. At some point I just started to continue, keep on keeping on. I just thought, well, nothing's going to change, so I may as well just continue to learn and to get better and to rehabilitate. And so that's what I did.
Right. And that's a pretty remarkable way to look at things when, I've never went through a traumatic event like that. I always, when I give my mental health talks and everything, I always preface everything by saying I personally have never been through a traumatic event. And, I know some of the struggles I have with things. So for someone like yourself who went through, one of the most traumatic things I think a human can experience, losing who you are and your identity. But, you can either go through two paths with that, like there's one where you could say, well, I don't know who I am, I don't matter, and go down a completely different road, right, into darkness and despair and who knows. But to go into that more positive outlook, was it just your strength internally, or were there also some things that you looked outwardly to that helped lead you more towards that path? We're talking about TV shows, newspaper, radio, music, anything like that. Was there something that really drew you to a more positive aspect of this?
Well, for sure it was music, because interestingly enough, like I couldn't walk or do any of those things, but I didn't forget a note of all the music I'd heard in my lifetime from 0 to 22. Wow, so
that's wild.
Music, it was super wild because, I couldn't do much, but then even in the intensive care, the ICU in Quebec, my family and friends had my ghetto blaster and they were playing CDs, and I would be lip syncing along to like the lyrics of the song. Then they could be like, "What's your name?" I don't know.
Wow.
What gender are you? I don't know. What's a gender? So, you know what I mean? But then I'm getting all the nuance and the inflections and the different details of vocals and lyrics and stuff. So that the music staying with me, I think, was crucial, because that was kind of my fallback and always my thing that, I thought sometimes, the Smiths would be playing in my mind. I'd start to get to be a bit of a downer.
Wow. And
then I would, play a different record and, just know all the words and be like, okay, things aren't so bad.
Right. Like the brain is so fascinating that, it does things like that. When I was telling people, I was interviewing you and was trying to articulate your story and so they could understand it. Like, it's kind of like thinking about the universe in a way where when you can't see it or touch it, or you can't comprehend it if you don't experience it. Like, you literally don't know the feeling to comprehend it. Mm-hmm. So, this incredibly complex situation, but yet music, which I also like to say I'm a huge fan of. I have tattoos of music notes on my leg, my arm. Like, music is everything for me. That music had that power to translate into, like you said, your rebirth, your new life, your do-over. Like, to me, that is incredible. Was there a couple songs that really stood out for you as like with a feeling or maybe a sense of emotion, like when it played, like you couldn't explain it, but like made you feel good, made you feel, really sad? I know you just mentioned the Smiths. excited.
They're good for sad.
Like, would it ever, like, or even trigger, like, I want to say, because at this point you didn't know if your memory would come back or not, right? So, I don't know, would it trigger a memory maybe, or a sensation or anything like that?
Well, like certain, I mean, not so much in Quebec, but later on in Halifax, certain styles of music and types of music that I listened to in my past would kind of take me to those periods of my life. You know, like I referenced this before, but like new wave and stuff that takes me to high school and high school dances and things like that, and skateboarding, and it kind of puts me in that world. And then more like Rheostatics, Radiohead would take me more to university times. You know, and to start with, like early days would have been like David Bowie and you know, whatever else. If when I hear it and I know it from that time in my life, since I didn't forget that the music, it will take me. It doesn't take me there, but it's just like mentally I'm thinking, oh, and then I remember, you know, where I grew up or whatever other kind of area,
right,
because of that song.
Wow. It's really Did a doctor ever be able to describe what that was to you, like why that kind of happened? No, and I don't know how much they understand, right, really about the brain and stuff, but I would love to be part of a study or have a doctor figure out how, you know, play music and then see where it takes me and somehow make sense of that, because right. I mean it makes sense to me as I'm retold my life that, oh yeah, you're a big fan of that music and this is where we lived and this was kind of what this was your scene at that point, and so it all, like, it adds up. It makes sense that those songs or records will take me to that time, but yeah, I don't understand it. I love it. I'm happy about it, because you know, if you come back with nothing, music was a great crutch and thing to build my confidence, because, you know, I couldn't name, like, I wouldn't want to get in a conversation with someone about like general information, but if I would get in a conversation with anyone about you know, lyrics or meaning of a song by whatever band, like, I felt confident about music because it didn't leave me. So it allowed you to be social again. And like, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. It was just a nice, you know, if you can imagine, you come back, you're transferred to this planet, you land there, you know nothing, but you know music, like everything about music. So then what do? You play music, you go to record stores, you go to concerts, you try to, you know, surround yourself with music. That was my comfort zone.
Right. Yeah, you know, we are only learning. I think the study of the brain has really started to accelerate really only in the last couple of years. And I think most of it still centers around concussions and you know, CTE and everything like that. So it'd be interesting to, you know, is this a symptom of all that, you know, because obviously if you hit your head, like, there must be still some damage in there and scar tissue and all these other elements. Have, like, you've had any brain images or scans in the last little while to see, like, where your brain's at with a doctor? Like, do you get follow-ups?
No, I did. Like, there was the CT scans and I had a lot of scans, like, when I was in Quebec, and a lot of scans in Halifax, and then like probably a handful of scans when I returned back to Ontario in late late December of 95.
Hmm.
But no, not really. I mean, I don't know what how advantageous that would be to see my brain, because they would just be like, oh, there's swelling there. And,
Right.
I mean, I'm obviously not a doctor, not educated in how to study the brain, but I mean, I'd gladly go do a scan, but it's just never, it was more for medical purposes in the early days. And then, and then they just stopped.
Mm. It's interesting because, it's become quite a hot topic for a lot of people. The brain injuries and what it leads to, like down the road and in life. Before we get to all that and where we're at now, I did want to ask, while you're dealing with your memory loss and trying to regain it and learn all these things, were there other things you were also dealing with too, like injury wise? I'm trying to think with an accident that bad, that I'm just trying to get people a perspective of everything that you had to go through, but also triumph over.
In the beginning, like I said, I couldn't walk, and I was kind of bedridden for some time, and rode around on a wheelchair. But then I gradually learned to walk again. There was obviously like scars on my body, but as far as like physically, not really. It was more of just a mental. It was a closed head injury, so it was just everything just got shook up in there, and
right.
And that was like, I mean, my body was, once I learned how to walk again and do other physical things again, it was relatively normal. So it was all kind of contained within my brain.
Mm-hmm. Once you started on the path to recovery and you could walk again, everything was starting to get a little bit better. Was there ever a conversation you had with your friends or your family about like who you were then versus how you were, in the present day then, and like changes, or like did you become kind of similar to how you were before the accident?
Well, I was told that I was somewhat similar to how I was before the accident, but what people said is a little more grown up, like a little more mature. Because, I mean, the accident happened when I was 22, and, I was the singer in a band and kind of like art student, concert going guy. And then I just think I kind of like same personality, similar sense of humor, but I think I just kind of slowed down a bit, which I guess is maturing. I don't know. I just slowed down a bit, but quite similar to the old version of me.
Interesting. Okay.
Or so I'm told.
Yeah, really, eh?
Yeah.
So, you're home now, and I keep referencing this W5, but kind of give me the preamble of your story so I could be prepped. Mm-hmm. So you met your now wife, but I am curious to know what dating was like prior to her or with her, because I think to the days now of Tinder and Bumble and everything, like you couldn't have an answer to the questions kind of everybody wants to know to start that conversation. Where did you grow up?
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing to like? What do you want to be like? All those types of things. What was the initial process when people would ask you, like, oh, where are you from? All these things, and like now you're on the spot and have to answer. What was that whole process like for you?
Well, because of the situation, I was always very forthright with the fact of the accident, of the brain injury. So, I mean, that was kind of my disclaimer at the start.
Good icebreaker.
Yeah, well, I don't remember anything. So, so that was that's kind of helped, because I didn't really have. I mean, I had gathered enough information from what I had been told from different. Like, I would hear about an event or whatever from a number of different sources, and so then I would put it in my mind as a factual something that happened. And so I would have, I would build those up between friends and family and stuff. So I had a little bit of information from prior, but no, I mean, I would always just be honest and say, like, I was in a serious car accident, so I suffered a severe brain injury. I had 22 years of my life erased. I got nothing. You want to talk music?
Yeah,
we can do that. But
did people believe you, or were they like,
I don't know.
Did they believe you, or was it more like, okay, if you didn't want to like date, it's fine? Be like, wow.
No, I mean, well, yeah, no, they would believe me. I think they believe me. I don't know, but yeah, they would have to believe me, because then they would see, it would become apparent. Somehow I would just, like, common things that everyone knows, I wouldn't know. And then it was like, okay, it would possibly be awkward, but it'd be like, okay, well, that's obviously he doesn't know, whatever. I can't think of an example, but
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I was kind of like that semi-alien guy, like,
mm-hmm.
Not super awkward, but awkward enough to know that something happened.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm also curious to know, what was it like looking at a picture of yourself as a kid, or maybe like I'm not quite a baby photo, but like something around the age of like 8, 10, like maybe you won the softball championship, or you won a spelling bee, something like that. What would it be like for you looking at a memory that's clear, like it's you, but like, you don't know it's you? Like, what was those feelings like inside for you?
I think it would vary. Like, it would probably depend on my mood.
Okay.
When I would see the picture, because, usually I would just think, oh, that's interesting. I mean, I couldn't relate to it, because although it was me, it wasn't me. It was just a picture. So it looked like me, and that was a cool shirt I was wearing or whatever, but it didn't. It was, I don't know. It didn't really take me necessarily to those places or events as much, pictures.
Right.
So it was just kind of, I would just flip through the photo books and think, oh, that's when we went there. Oh, that's interesting. But I didn't really, maybe subconsciously I put it in my memory somewhere, and then that's part of my current memory,
mm-hmm.
are those pictures and stories that I heard about before. But at the time when I was seeing them for the first time, it would just be like, okay, interesting. But it was kind of like, I didn't really gain much from it, because mm-hmm. I couldn't really remember it or think, oh, okay, oh, that's when we were in California. Oh, yeah, California. Oh, that's in the West Coast. Like, I didn't have any of that information.
Mm-hmm.
So it, like, California just be a name. It's like Alberta. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
I'm curious. You mentioned it a couple times. You saying you marked it as like a truth, or like you put them in the memory bank. That type, using those phrases. You're consciously building your own memory, basically. Is that kind of where you're at?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think I have to continue now from the yesteryear, because I've got, like, I'm living presently. My life's busy enough currently that I don't have to fill in too much of the old days. I got enough scraps to put the 22 years together. But yeah, no, that at the time, that's what I was totally building an identity and just trying to figure out, okay, like, who was I and what did I do? What was I like? And a good thing that happened after the accident when I returned to Ontario, and even letters and stuff when I was away was people like friends and even not friends, like just acquaintances and people who knew me from high school and junior high, talking to my parents and my family about events with me, and telling about how I had done this or I'd done that, and then they would fill me in on those and tell me those bits of information, which were nice. They're always like, I like that they're always nice and like good natured and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe they just left out the jerky ones.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Was there memories that were maybe not so fond of that they would tell you, or did everyone stick mostly to like positive, encouraging building blocks instead of like, oh yeah, one time you went and egged your neighbor's house and got in big trouble?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a handful of, those type of stories. But they're predominantly kind of good natured and well intentioned and, good guy stories. So I like that because I'm surmising and assuming that I was a good guy because, I try to be a good guy now. And I think that's just a continuation. But yeah, like a handful. But that's 0 to 22. I had to do a couple things wrong.
Yeah. The formative years. And that's why mentioning, the thinking of the universe and like the complexity of, what you've been through and continue to do so. It's like when I asked that question about like building a conscious memory yourself, like rationally and cognizantly, that you have to manually do this. Whereas like the rest of us growing up, it just kind of happens organically. And we, it's the part of growing up and you're just like, don't have to think about it. But to me, it's fascinating. And I can't quite wrap my head around it that you had to do this all, like, for lack of a better term, by hand, like from manually. That it's hard. It's hard, but it's I don't want to say fascinating because that kind of puts that, the impact it's had on you, because obviously it was incredibly difficult, but it's very wild. I'll use for lack of a better term.
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm the guy, and I've already been. I've been through it. I think it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, the hard part's done. So minus current issues that I go through now with memory and stuff. But I think it's totally. I love talking to people about the story, just to, kind of share. And a big part that I want to help people gain perspective on life. Like I used to have people who would come into my work and they would just be flipping out about the fact that video stores, I don't know if video stores.
I do. I still remember. Not that young.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No, some people are like, what? Cassette tape? So they'd be like, just flipping their lid and losing their mind over the fact that their video wasn't in. And I was just frozen. I was just shocked by how dramatic and how intense this was for them, having gone through recently what I'd gone through. And I couldn't get my head around it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal? Like, sort it out, man. Honestly.
It's hard to keep that perspective that, when you go through the day-to-day life, like we all do, the grind, as they say, I try to remain cognizant of the fact, like it's one life, there are no do-overs, like just live it, be happy, that type of stuff. But every so often that little thing happens at work and you just kind of get all frustrated and lose all self-control. So it's interesting that you have that perspective that it's like, I don't know, like everything's like very zen for you, I guess. Like you don't really experience those like really hot coals, emotions set you flying off the handle. You have a good grasp on it all.
I think I'm pretty,
sound very laid back.
Yeah, I'm pretty I'm pretty good, but I think like maybe if I'm tired or something, or
Mm.
if my kids are irritating me, or like not letting go, then sometimes I'll be in a bad mood, but it's temporary and it's related to that. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just for a very brief period. And then I quickly, luckily I've gone through what I've gone through. So I quickly give my head a shake and I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we're good. We're walking. My arms work. I can see, I can hear. Things are good. Like,
Right.
shake it off.
What are some of the things you go through now? You've, like you said, you're living a good life, family, things have mostly been put together for them in most areas. What are some of the struggles, if any, do you experience now from the accident? Besides memory loss, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have something called visual agnosia, which is like face blindness. So
Oh.
I don't recognize people.
Okay, well, we can't brush that off. That's something there.
Yeah, that's
So,
pretty big.
So
I don't like anyone.
if we're doing this over Zoom, so we haven't looked at each other, but assuming we did this, we met for coffee, we hung out for a bit, everything's good, then we go to do this podcast a little bit later, and there's some people, and I'm like, oh, hey, John, like, you'd be like, who are you?
No. As soon as you said, "Hey, John," I'd get it because I do voice. I ID people by voice.
But
I do this. I do sound. But if you didn't say anything, you'd be any guy.
wow, so
Yeah.
and it's. I just want to frame this properly. So it's not like you're seeing like a blurry vision of something, and you're just like, I can't quite tell what that is. You can clearly see light of day. You'd be able to see my face, my facial features, everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's just no connection to what that, like, who I am or what that is in front of you.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. It's it's agnosia. It's just it's face blindness. It doesn't matter. I wrote it into the epilogue of the book. Actually, my wife came once to my work, and she never comes to my work, and she had straightened her hair, and she was standing off to the side, and I was in charge, so I had to like count the empties and count the safe and close, and I had like so much stuff to do, and I was just thinking, a
damn, like, last minute customer,
product complaint. What's the, I was just like, and then she's like, oh, hi, and I was like, oh, it was like pop the balloon. It took me a while to tell her. I think it took like a week or two to tell her that I didn't recognize her. So I just felt so bad. But I mean, that's my wife. I see her every day of my life.
Right. So this happened like after the fact. Like, you didn't have this problem until that time, and then it's been ever since. Or
no. I've always had this. Like, this is a post-accident.
Okay.
This came with the accident. It's part of the package. So,
okay.
But that's just an event. I'm just citing that event as like because that's a pretty big impact. That's my wife. But like, even random people, like if I saw my friends and stuff, if they don't motion for me as though they know me, or like I've got pretty good at reading people and like how body motion and like do they know me? Are they random people? Or are they being friendly? And then I know whether to nod my head or say hello or not. But no, I don't know anyone.
That's like even your kids?
Yeah, well, I mean, if they talk, I know them because I do voice.
Right.
But if you change the context, like if they weren't getting off the bus and I was picking them up off the bus, or meeting them at gymnastics or coding or whatever they're doing, then I wouldn't necessarily. I don't know. That's a guy. I mean, I'd like to test that. I'm not sure if you put a line of kids up. Could I?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think I could, because I mean, I think I could my wife now too, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking that to make myself feel good. I mean, I'm not too sure, because there's people like other parents and stuff that I see at the bus stop with the kids every day. And I mean, I kind of have them figured out, but if I saw them, let's say, you know, at work or outside of that bus scene, like somewhere else in town at a restaurant or something, I think I would just be like, they look familiar. I think maybe I know them.
Yeah. Hey.
But I wouldn't know, oh, those are the bus stop people necessarily.
Wow.
Maybe I would. Maybe I wouldn't, but I mean, it's kind of, I don't know.
Does that get
strange.
frustrating? Like, I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes here. Like, how does it worry you? Like, if something were to happen, like, do you get kind of scared about it? Like, what's your reaction to it? Or is it just like, again, this is your life. You could do with what you can with it.
It's pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm kind of whatever. Like, I can't change it. So I could stress about it or, you know, get angry or sad about it, but it's not going to change. So it's just, I don't know. I hope it doesn't become dramatic or affect me in any negative way. It's just like, people know as well, like, generally, you know, the people at the bus or like a lot of the people at work and just around are somewhat aware of my story. So they cut me some slack. They know, you know, if they're like, oh, remember we went to school together or we used to work together? It's like, nope.
Right. Do you ever
then they retell me the story and it's like, oh, okay. And then maybe hopefully I'll put it in my memory bank.
Right.
But I can't, you know, if I could control that, that'd be great. But I have no idea what I'm going to remember and what I'm not going to remember. So, I mean, I try my best, but they cut me some slack. I got some wiggle room there. I got a good medical record to excuse myself.
Do you have like a shirt made that'd be like, hi, I might not remember you or something?
6 out of 15 on the Glasgow Coma scale. That'd be a good shirt.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a researcher's dream. Like I'm surprised like more scientists or researchers haven't like heard or read your story and like kind of were like wanting to meet you and get to the bottom of some of this stuff that's going on. Because, you know, to me, and I'm not a scientist by any means, but like if you could find the connections of what is going with you, like how could that maybe affect not only curing you, if that's even something you ever wanted, or helping with other aspects of life, whether it's, you know, Alzheimer's research or CTE research or anything like this, maybe even blindness. I don't know, but to pick it with you and your brain and everything you're going through, like it seems like, I don't know, could maybe do a whole lot of good.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be more than willing to participate if it helped anyone.
Well, I saw you wanted to get on Ellen, so we got to start making that happen.
You know why? Well, I mean, I want to get on Ellen because she's huge and she's funny and she just seems really like positive and you know, like helping people out and stuff. But I'm not much of a TV. I'm a radio guy.
That's what I like to hear.
Now I'll go to the basement and like watch documentaries and stuff like that. But I used to be like kind of like strictly radio, just listen to music and no TV. So I had no exposure to TV for so long. And my wife was on maternity leave with my first eldest son, Jack. And I came down the stairs. I think I was going to work and I watched, it was almost like it was in slow motion. This woman was like dancing and like getting funky and, you know, just busting to move her way onto the stage or onto the like show, I guess. And then she started, and I was listening to her. She was like cracking jokes and stuff, and she was on point. She was really funny and like clever and stuff. And I was like, Allie, who's this? She's really funny. And she's like, my wife looked at me and she's like, are you kidding? And I was like, no, don't you think she's funny? And she's like, yeah, she's really funny. John, it's Ellen. And I was like, who's Ellen? She was like, she's like bigger than Oprah. And I was like, oh, because I knew who Oprah was.
Yeah.
From, I don't know how I knew who Oprah was, but yeah, but I was shocked by that. And then it was funny because at that point I said, you know what, Allie, I'm going to go on Ellen. I'm going to dance my way on there. And she was like, okay, you know, you know how wives do that.
Yeah.
Okay, honey.
Yeah. You go.
Talk to you later. Good night. Yeah. But I don't know. I just think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
It'd be really good for the kids and stuff too.
That leads me to the question I kind of just threw out there. If there was an option one day that like, they're like, we could give you back your memory, is that even something you'd be interested at this point of your life? Or, you know, is it something that you just put aside and like everything is just from here on forth, we're just moving forward? It's a deep question.
So with this offer, am I allowed to select what I remember, or is it just all?
No, you get everything back.
Okay, because I mean, if it was like concerts I'd gone to and stuff like that, I don't know. That's a tough question. I would almost lean towards no at this point, but I haven't really thought that over a lot. But I think, I mean, life's good. I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
Things are good. I like my life, and you know, I'm happy. Everything's good, and I think, you know, from where it started in '95, I've been through a lot of experiences. So I don't know. I think if it came back, if I had the option to bring it all back, it would just be information overload.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I think my head would explode or something.
Yeah, Big Bang moment. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But so I don't know. I mean, before I always wanted it back, like kind of mid 90s, like late 90s. I wanted it all back just to be able to make sense of it. But I've kind of sorted myself out now. I mean, I'm a relatively functional adult.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I have a huge collection of concert ticket stubs because I saved my stubs from concerts. So I'd really like to see some of those shows.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
Yeah, but the rest of it, I don't know.
What made you want to start sharing your story now? Like, not only did you have to go through all this, now you're choosing to tell people about it and relive it. What made you want to tell this to other people?
Well, I think it's a fascinating story.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can just jump outside of myself, and I just think of my own story. It's like, it blows my mind. So, I mean, it's fascinating. I think a big part of it for me is it can it can help people. It can give people perspective. It can, give them hope, perhaps, if they've recently had a brain injury, because the early days of brain injury and whatever other issue are rough, but you just got to stick it out. And if my story was inspirational or like allowed people to continue to push on, then that's great.
Yeah, I think
that's kind of part of it.
Yeah, hearing your story really puts things into perspective, that how fragile, all of this can be. that you're still here and breathing and people still get to see you, which is a blessing, but to have to go through, relearning every single thing about life, all those little nuances that we take for granted, tying our shoe, difference between, left and right, like all those things that you've had to put together as an adult in an accelerated time while dealing with probably mental health issues from it all, on top of the daily complexities that also life provides. Like for me, it's just like, and that you have such a good attitude about it that you're just like, yeah, like it's all good. I'm just like, wow, what do you mean it's all good?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I could totally complain and be, I could just have the Smiths on repeat, right? And just be a super downer guy. But what's the point? There's enough, like, watch the news. You want a downer.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Or like, go to some other avenue of downer. I'd rather be, because it's my life. I'm in control of it. So I kind of control how I react to things. And, I got a bag of beep on my lap, but you know what? I could just brush it off and get up and just continue.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, I think it's just better to just work your way through it and realize that even if it's really bad, no matter how bad it is, it can always be worse.
That's a good
right?
point. Yeah.
Because you're alive. There's a starting point. If you're dead, we're not talking. So,
yeah.
And then you could bring in any other sort of like, vision, hearing, mobility, whatever. Like we're so lucky to have all that stuff. So, I mean, we shouldn't complain.
Absolutely. Are there things you do now to, whether it's strengthen your mind, help maybe improve memory, things like, do you do any like spiritual seeking, meditation, yoga, exercise, watch your diet, like all those typical things everyone kind of says to do to live a healthy life? Like, do you take any kind of I don't want, not precautions, but proactive steps to try to, I don't know, help yourself or keep things healthy up in your brain, and live as normal of a lifestyle as you can?
I'm aware of my diet, for example, and I have practiced yoga and meditation and stuff in periods of the past, but not really on a daily or weekly or monthly sort of, like I have no schedule of, you should do the following at this time. I just kind of just push my way through life and just make sure I'm positive and I can do things that, help me feel positive. Like you can, like some volunteer things that me and the kids do and I've done in the past, like that just makes me feel good. And that helps me.
Do you have any?
It helps me because I'm helping other people.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any like initiatives or charities that, you're either running or that are very close to your heart?
Yeah, we do. Like the kids and I have done the local food bank before. We do a yearly thing, which I started a few years ago for the local cancer group, because when I had cancer, they were really helpful for me. So I asked, why don't people Christmas carol anymore and go around and sing Christmas carols? And everyone was like, I don't know. And so I got my kids initially, just my two boys and I, and we went around in our neighborhood and just sang jingle bells and said we're caroling for the local cancer group. And then it's like the bus stop people like asked, can my kids come? And then it became like me with a bunch of kids, and like varying cast on different nights. I just tell them at the bus, we're going out tonight, and we just make money for the local cancer group. And I don't know, just other volunteer stuff. I don't know. I read my whole book at the seniors residence where my mother lives. So like I went down every Monday and just went through and read it. That was volunteer. I volunteered at a school. I volunteered. I don't know. Yeah, I try to stay active and kind of giving back to the community and stuff.
You threw in there, you also had cancer. Kind of went through that. Is that what, did I hear that correctly?
Oh yeah.
What kind of hand of cards have you been dealt?
Oh yeah, I've been dealt. You're not kidding. So here's a run of events, which is, I mean, it's kind of comical just in how ridiculous it is, considering the starting point of my whole story. So my father died suddenly of a heart attack in August of 2014. And so I went to my wife's cottage in like Lake Huron because I just wanted to watch the water. I had to look at waves and just sort of get my head around the fact that my dad wasn't around anymore, and we couldn't do any of the stuff that we did. So it was kind of heavy. So I went to my wife's cottage, and my wife saw a lump on my neck at the cottage. She's like, "Oh, what's that?" "Oh, I don't know." Anyways, then I went to the doctor. They tested it, and then I was diagnosed with cancer in the fall. Further tests were done, and I had 2 more CT scans, after which they confirmed I had stage 3 cancer.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'd been through enough already. I was just like, okay. And so what's next? So the cancer had started as testicular cancer, and then it had roamed up into my aorta, and then the little lump on my neck is where my wife saw it, and that was the third. Like that was the next part of it. So then I had surgery done pretty soon after, I think a week or 10 days after the diagnosis came in, and I went in to see, and then the surgeon, I had the surgery on the 1st of November. And so I went in for the surgery. They knocked me out. They removed one of my testicles, and then I woke up and was all off balance and had a lot more high notes in my singing, and everything changed. Yeah, no, nothing. I didn't really. It was just they knocked me out. They did that, and then there was then the chemotherapy started, and that started on December 1st.
Wow.
For a few months at least. And so it gets even the story gets thicker. So I'm going through chemotherapy. I'm bald and I have no immune system. I can't walk, like I'm crawling down the stairs and stuff. And then soon after that, my mom is diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Oh my
disease.
What?
Yeah. No joke. Yeah.
I'm out of words.
And that's my remaining parent. Like the one of the people that has my history of my life.
Right.
Has Alzheimer's. So it's just like,
Like that is I'm sorry, like that's just like a sick turn of fate.
I know.
That, like to Alzheimer's and everything you went through, just like it's like a sick joke.
I know, and it's like the thing that's confusing to me is like I think it's reported that 0 to 22, I was a nice guy. I know 22 onward, I've been a nice guy, and considerate and kind of giving a hoot and trying to be as kind as I can, and then I get all this stuff. So it's like, well, maybe I should just be a dick.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe that's the recipe. Maybe nothing would happen to me. We're in too deep now, so I think I'm going to stay nice. But
I mean, that's admirable, because you have been through not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Like, I'm sure much more like of these like events, traumatic things in your life that like most people only have to deal with 1, maybe none. And for you to, like, you have every reason to be like a prickly old bastard who doesn't like people on the lawn if you wanted. He'd be like, you know what, like, John, like, yeah, he's been through some shit, so we're gonna let him have it. And yeah, you still are on the other side, helping people, sharing your story. Like, I want to share this story with everybody on Facebook and Twitter who are arguing about politics and nothing. Yeah. And just be like, yo, it's not that bad. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, back it up. Well, the thing, what you could say, check your head, because that's one of my, I only did one so far, but I'm going to go back to the high school that I went to in town. I did like a presentation on, they played the W5 show, but I kind of prefaced it, like I introduced myself, and I went through the spiel of like what I've been through, and my accident, and my dad, and the cancer, and my mom, and all this stuff. And then, so kids, you don't like your iPad case or whatever, check your head, like back it up and realize. And, if you need, like I said, we can walk around the hospital, we'll go room to room. And then you'll wonder about the stain on your shirt when you talk to the person with like whatever ailment they have, Right. Like, just give people perspective. So that was one of my goals. And luckily a woman that I went to high school with, apparently, contacted me after the W5 and said, can you come talk to the kids? And I said, yeah, sure. So that's a good, I think if I can get through to more people, or get through to any people, then that's the goal, right? Not to be preacher, not to be like, to mightier than thou, or, you should be like this, but just so you have an understanding of how good we have it. Yeah. I think it's critical for especially youth, but everybody, to just, sometimes you just need that step back from like what's going on in your life. Maybe your boss sent a rude email, or maybe, you're in a fight with your girlfriend. And, I always think back to being in high school and thinking every single problem was the end of the world. Mm-hmm. Everything is beyond dramatic. Yet, here you are, I'll say it again and again, but have been through like so much shit. Mm-hmm. And just to keep a level head and be like, you know what, like one foot in front of the other, keep going. Just, breathe, like all those things that some people definitely don't pay attention to because they might get said as cliches, but mm-hmm. that like you're a like, living, breathing, walking, talking example of demonstrating these proper behaviors, and that like, if you really just have a positive attitude and try to keep going, that like you can almost get through anything. Mm-hmm. No, it's incredible. Well, yeah, I mean, if you have to push on, right? There's no option. So you may as well make it fun. Make it, it's your life, so you can be sad and depressed and have like a odd perspective of how bad your life is, but it's not that bad. Yeah, that's important for someone like me, with depression and anxiety, that I often can get trapped in my own head and my own thoughts. Mm-hmm. And it's really easy to woe is me, sink down, deep down. Mm-hmm. And, it's through things like this podcast and meeting people with such a diverse background and stories and things they've been through that have
Like it's really easy for someone like me now to, when I'm feeling really down and out and really on top of myself, I literally think back. I'm like, like I remember what this person said, or now moving forward, like I remember Jonathan, like and it enables me to kind of snap back a little bit to reality and be like, yeah, I'm going through my shit, but you know what, like it can be okay, and it's going to be okay, and to remember that even when it seems dark, that these are always reference points for me to go back to and just be like, nah, man, like I can get it together.
Yeah, for sure. Because even if it's bad, it can always be worse.
Clearly.
I mean, that's what you got to remember. If you're alive, there's your starting point.
Absolutely.
And then anything else, like you can hear me. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
listen, I appreciate you coming on here and sharing this story and giving us an insight into what it's like to live a life like yours. Really remarkable, truly.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate you setting this up.
Yeah,
and
no problem.
Yeah, it was good. It was good talking to you. Well, give me a call. We'll chat again.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
You'd like.
Just one more time, where can people find out more information on your story, get your book and everything like that? Did you have social media?
Yeah, I do. It's all kind of through, it's www.jonathanmcmurray.com. So that's JONATHANMCMURRAY.com. And then like all of the links to the media, the W5 and well, this is going to be on there soon.
Oh, excellent.
So
thank you.
I mean, if that's cool with you.
Absolutely.
So yeah, all of the information I just keep putting on there. So
awesome. Okay.
And then the book's obviously available there as well.
Yeah, and we'll share those links out and everything so everyone can find you nice and easy and hear more about your story. Jonathan McMurray, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.